going into how that's an ego thing, but because we do have emotions, we are sad, we are feeling like for no reason can just feel empty, lonely, something missing, like just a feeling without even any thoughts. So I don't know.
Are those observed?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's observed,
there's nothing really to do.
no.
I know what you're saying. It's outside of, it's ego-based. It's...
Well, just stay. Find the one that is observing the loneliness. Find the one that is observing. Who is that one? Who is the one that is aware of the emptiness? And is that one empty?
I think people wonder, well, then what can I do to feel happy? Just sitting there meditating might not do it.
Just speak for yourself. Don't speak about people. Speak about your own direct experiencing.
Yeah. For me, when I feel like that, and it comes for no reason sometimes, I have everything in life to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And but sometimes I just feel empty or lonely or longing, like a longing I can't describe. Something that feels like it needs to be fulfilled. A destiny that I'm not fulfilling my destiny. And I want to travel. Like I feel there's a pull to just sell everything and leave and just go wander away from civilization. Like, I don't know, just I imagine that other people feel that way too. They just want to like pack up and just go. But
to just experience.
Explore.
But what I want to point you to is that even that is observed. And so you see that happiness on the level of mind is dependent on circumstances. It's dependent on things being a certain way. This is not what we're talking about here. We are talking about the transcendent state beyond mind, where your nature of just peacefulness and joyfulness can radiate in all directions unabated by the wants and needs of the mind and the ego and all of what goes on in the mind. The mind-based happiness comes and goes. The joy of being never goes. It can only get covered up by the mind. And this is the challenge for me, is to keep pulling you away from your mind. You gonna say something, John? Let me pass the mic back to John.
So there you did acknowledge or say happiness. Happiness is fleeting. It's thought attached, kind of. I have almost constant peacefulness. Peacefulness is kind of different than happiness.
Yes.
Happiness
Absolutely.
seems to be a little bit elevated above peacefulness.
Is it?
For me, maybe. I mean,
It might. I would say that happiness is below peacefulness. Why? Because happiness is mind-based. Happiness comes and goes. Happiness is not reliable.
But the peacefulness is always reliable.
The peacefulness is what you are, and you can never not be what you are.
So what creates that? Are we already peaceful and then we have happy thoughts which take us less into peace, out of peace?
Well, the way that happy thoughts take us, you can enjoy your thoughts, but what we're doing here is we're really, I'm trying to show you the difference between the self and the mind. You know?
Yes, clearly. My mind is experiencing less of those happiness times,
Mm-hmm.
and certainly less of those so-called unhappiness times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm in peacefulness.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything beyond peacefulness is my question, I guess. Am I at the top of the totem pole? Is there nowhere to go from here?
there is no totem pole, and I want you to stay out of that sort of...
No, I'm just, figuratively just... Do I have nirvana right now?
What's happening likely for you and for most people is that at the very best it's coming and going, and you experience only brief moments of it. You're starting to become aware of like this underlying peace, this part of you that is aware of what's going on in the mind, that is aware of what's going on in the world, and really doesn't have an opinion about it and is quite peaceful about whatever it's experiencing. You see? And so you're starting to become aware of that. That's important. Once you really step into presence, like there really is no past and no future, that's when the doors really swing wide open. And you are in a place absent of mind. All of your problems, all of your stress, all of your struggles are occurring in the form of thoughts in your mind. If you got hit on the head with a coconut and you had amnesia, didn't even know who you were, the things that are bothering you right now couldn't bother you. They wouldn't even be there. They wouldn't even be there.
So here's the subtlety. I'm not selling my peace for the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
I would be happy if I didn't have this issue with the IRS. You see what I'm saying? If all of a sudden I got a letter saying, "Oh, wrong guy,"
Mm-hmm.
I would be happy. And to me, that takes me above peace. I'm not selling my peace for no matter what they say.
Would that happiness stay?
No.
No.
But it totally would not stay. But I'm having less and less and less and less of those happiness moments. I used to be much more rangy, high and low, down the rabbit hole. No
Mhm.
more rabbit holes for me.
Mm-hmm.
But not a lot of the happiness pinging, as fleeting as it can be. Not a lot of pings in that zone anymore.
Yes, that is just a mind-based happiness, based on certain circumstances.
I don't seem to be cultivating that mind-based happiness anymore.
I'm not saying that you need to. I'm saying to just let it all go. Because when that happiness is there, you're having a happy moment, enjoy it. But when it goes away, don't be upset about it, because you know it's going to go away. When you're having a really great moment, enjoy it, because it's going to be fleeting. And when you're having a really bad moment, don't worry about it, because that's fleeting too. And all things come and go. Okay? So now you're looking at it still on the level of mind. When my mind is satisfied, when there are some possibilities for the future that I think are cool possibilities, then I can be happy and run towards them. Because my mind is satisfied. My ego is satisfied. My ego is saying, yes, this is how life should be. It's that way. Now I'm happy. Wait. When you go beyond, when you come present, really present into the moment, like really, like past and future don't exist. There is just joy. For no reason. When you have joy for a reason, you know it's the mind. And even worse, your reason can be taken away from you. And so we are in this mind-identified state, and everything is mental. Even your spirituality is mental. Is mind-based. And I want to pull you out of that. And we don't even need to call it spirituality. We do that to give some context to these conversations. But what we're really talking about is truth. What we're really talking about is seeing things clearly.
Tom, I think we all want to be in that state, and we understand it. We are using our mind to understand it, and when we feel that state, it's amazing, when we can have it. But don't we deserve to have the mental happiness too? I mean, we are living here, and then go back into that contented way, as our regular way of living and being and existing forever, basically. It's our soul's right, or that's what we are, to be that way. But we're living, let's be happy too. Let's have a little happiness here and there, mental happiness.
Well, when you have mental happiness, enjoy it.
Right.
But
go back into that state. You don't have to keep running after it. I think if we're chasing happiness in our minds, that could be a problem, because it's like, oh, that felt so good. I want more. But when it happens, it's great. It's wonderful. That's part of what we have here. Let's celebrate that. We do it, a lot, but we also don't want to go into that deep sorrow,
even
either.
you see, when you're saying that I want and I don't want and I want and I don't want, you're really going to get hooked up into your mind.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We are in our mind. We are living, so we do have to use our mind.
Well, wait a minute. We have to use our mind, you know what I mean? But not be used by our mind, okay?
Well, that's a better way of putting it, I think. Yeah.
And give me one moment. You're very much hooked on your mind being a certain way. Your mind is like the weather. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's warm, and so on, right? If your peacefulness, if your joyfulness is at all dependent on the mind, it's going to come and go. The mind is something to be used, and will not encourage you to cultivate or be at all looking forward to or dependent on some mind-based happiness. It's going to keep you closer to your mind, and I want you to get away from your mind. Because listen, in the absence of mind, there is just peace and joy. When you are present in the moment, what takes you out of that moment is the mind.
Right. And when we're present, it's great. And if we are feeling happiness and we're present within that happiness, what could be better, really? If we're present in the happiness, the observer
the presence,
is watching that happiness, what could be bad?
The presence, the joy of being is not going to be trumped by some mental-based happiness.
No, it will never be. But it can observe the happiness.
So if it's there, I'm saying to you, if it's there, enjoy it.
Right.
But what we're doing here, let's be very clear, is transcending the mind entirely. Okay? So don't say that, but I want my mind to be happy. Then you're going to start to encourage those psychological patterns again. And then you're going to start to look for those kind of things. When the mind is gone, peacefulness and joyfulness is just your way for no reason, cannot be taken away from you. It's when the mind comes back that your true state goes away. And you will keep getting sucked into a level of, the mind level of things.
Well, we can't expect it, and we can come back to that present state. But as humans, we can enjoy things, but come back to that state and not expect.
See, you don't
too
come.
much.
You don't come back to that state. You see, it's like this is where I'm talking about how tricky it is that you are looking at your spirituality from a level of mind. You're not leaving the self and coming back to it and going to the mind and coming back. You are always the self. The greatest peacefulness and joyfulness that you have ever felt in your life is available to you right here, right now. It's what you are. You can never not be it. But the mind come, and the mind come like the clouds and obscure your true self, your true nature. So even if it's happiness coming, here comes some duality, you're still obscuring the self. If it come, enjoy it. But don't be so focused on that. That's a very tiny thing to me, mind-based happiness. What that means, mind-based happiness, is that for a moment, my ego is satisfied. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, when your ego is satisfied for a moment, so what? You know that your ego is never satisfied for more than a moment. So, if it come, fine. You know what I mean? But when you realize those moments of pure presence, you know what I mean? That you really get a real clear taste of just residing mindlessly as the self. You never want to leave that state. There is no state that is more peaceful